Hi, everyone. Today's special hero is Ms.Sonal Majeethia, who is an educator and, of course, a special mom. She has so many things to her credit that I want Ms. Sonal Majeethia to introduce herself. Ma'am, you please tell me.
Yeah, thanks Abhilasha for starting this wonderful program and creating this platform where all of us can share our journey and learn from one another. I um, I am Sonal Majeethia. I started my career as an electrical engineer, and then uh, the the day I figured out officially that my son has learning struggles, I decided to uh, work as a special educator and understand more about his needs
Wow.
so that I could support him better. It has been 13 years now since I've been working as a special educator and learning along the way with other moms and with other heroes like Abhilasha and many others. Of lately, I did my master's in special educational needs and inclusion from University of Northampton, UK, and I have started my online edtech platform that provides accessible online content for NIOS learners because as I homeschool my son for his secondary NIOS, and I realized that we don't have proper guidebooks for
Of course.
NIOS that our kids can use, and also having a multi-modal revision material can help. Because our kids usually struggle with reading alone, reading and learning for revision.
Mm.
So
Right.
what I am trying to create here is a platform that can provide audio along with the e-text option, similar experience as a parent or a teacher reading to the child, sitting next to the child for revision. And it helped my son, it has been helping few students, and I hope everybody,
Yeah.
all the special ed community explores the platform
We'll
and
have
provides some
the link
feedback.
in the description, ma'am. We'll have the link of the website in
Sure.
the
It's
description.
my startup project's name is Kadamb Inclusive Learning Tools.
Yes.
Do check it out.
Sure, sure. I'll add the link. यस मैम सो टेल अस कि आपकी जर्नी कैसी शुरू हुई क्योंकि आप तो इलेक्ट्रिकल
Yeah.
इंजीनियर थे सो हाउ वाज
So,
रियलाइजिंग एंड देन
yeah.
experiencing.
My son was premature baby. That's when it all started, and
अच्छा.
he had a suction birth, and it was in US, and it was doctor's delay. So we have to all understand that we often blame Indian system for for
Yeah.
doctors not being professional enough. It happens everywhere. And so that's when it started. I had stopped working to take care of my son, and I was very closely monitoring him. I was supposed to also because of his low birth weight. He was in NICU
Premature.
for 15 days after he was born, and was given very heavy antibiotics at
Mm.
empty stomach. So these were all the red signals. I was told by my friends and family members that be careful. Jaundice, have giving extensive light therapy in an ICU, low birth weight, antibiotic, not being able to, feed, uh, breastfeed. So the suction was a problem. Vestibular. So from the day one, I knew that it's going to be
कुछ
a
तो challenges
challenging
आएंगे.
journey.
हाँ.
I kept working around them, and uh, God's grace, what happened was that he managed all his milestones barely on time. So in US, they track it very closely. They have
Hmm.
checklists for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So you would, I would go to the doctor and say that he's not giving me constant eye contact. He is taking time for following my finger, pointing, but doctor would just laugh at me and saying you are being paranoid, because look, the milestone is met. He sat at 9 months. He started walking at 14 months, which is like on a later
Almost
side,
हाँ
but
the later
still,
side लेकिन
still,
चलेगा. हाँ,
So preschool also was a big problem. Adjustment. He was not socializing. He didn't even have a clear speech delay, but he had communication delay, and that of course takes time for people to figure out. So 4.5, we finally got the attention from our pediatrician, because the preschool gave a letter saying that he's having a fidgeting behavior, this that. We got the diagnosis of sensory processing problems. We started OT in US, and as a new mom, not aware about these things, you feel that, oh, 6 weeks of OT, we should see results. We
correct.
should see, it's all this. Oh, now my child will
कुछ
be
पता
fine.
नहीं
See,
होता
I was
है,
I
आई
was
नो,
telling that
हाँ,
there was something wrong. Now they are explaining to me, but we all know that occupational therapy is a very slow process.
हम्म,
And the issues are, and then as an engineer, like a highly logical person, I felt like, how can a child be oversensitive in with touch, and undersensitive with vestibular, if it's a sensory integration, why? So it was all like, I was all along gathering all my questions, which we relocated to India when he was 7 years old, joined a CBSE school, and there, through a good reference, I got a proper diagnosis. And I think I was prepared, but it
अच्छा,
was it was like
क्योंकि
people
इतने
around me
7
were
साल
not
हो चुके
prepared.
थे, हाँ,
Yeah,
लेकिन
and
एज
I
अ
was in
मदर,
fact, yeah, I was in fact relieved that I could get some explanation that I could work on, right? Because otherwise I was feeling lonely. Like, I see that my child is struggling.
हम्म,
I am trying my best, and still is not able to manage. What is it? And when I go to the doctor, they are saying, "Oh, no big deal," things like that. But in terms of real acceptance, in the sense, the question comes very frequently, why me?
हम्म,
Right? That way, I don't think we can
सही,
all
सही
ever
बात है.
accept it. Uh, it's just that
तो
God gives us
व्हाट यू
strength
विल से
to move on.
कि व्हाई मी, ये तो सचमुच, ये तो मतलब
And then
यूनिवर्सल है
we
अमंगस्ट
so
अस.
these are the parallel thought processes in our cells, where we just put certain our emotions on side and said, okay, that's what it is, let's start working. And all of us work, all of
हम्म,
us. And biggest help has been working with other parents like me, helping others. I don't know how it has worked, but every child that comes to me for special ed help becomes my son, that I get attached to that
वाओ,
child, and
सो
I
स्वीट
work
ऑफ
with
यू,
that
सो नाइस.
child, and then that parent also connects with me, and we both, I think, get uh, energy from one another, and that this journey has been the biggest uh, pleasure, I think, knowing
या,
so many mothers who are struggling even more and still putting up a brave face, and doing much more than I can for my son and those. So I'm very happy that you are coming up with this platform, because every mother
ऑफ
you will
कोर्स,
meet, I'm sure, is
यस.
is special
This
hero.
was my dream come true, ma'am. This is my dream come true. This is what I wanted to do for a such a long time. क्योंकि I know कि हर एक हम लोगों की जो सैड स्टोरी है उसके पीछे इतनी जबरदस्त लर्निंग है, लेकिन कैसे कनेक्ट करें, कैसे सीखें. बस जो एक कम्युनिटी है जो आपके पास है या मेरे पास है, हम लोग उसी से सीख सकते हैं. लेकिन अगर इतनी
Yes,
बड़ी कम्युनिटी हो जहां पर इतने सारे एक्सचेंज हो सके, तो एक वो चीज चाहिए थी, मतलब कि इट इज अ काइंड ऑफ कैथारसिस फॉर मी. ये मेरे लिए ऐसा है. एंड यस, प्लीज कंटिन्यू योर जर्नी. यस.
yes. So, and then, yes, ups and downs, schools change, curriculum change. We just go on an experimental tour, I think, this therapy, that therapy, and eventually the child gets better, which is which is a biggest reward
सिल्वर
for us.
लाइनिंग, and silver
Yes,
lining.
yes, yeah.
The
And
children
when,
get better.
yeah, so I see the assessment report that my son had in US government first grade school,
Mhm.
and I cry because it was a misdiagnosis, It was
In
in terms
US,
of his IQ in US, yes,
in
in
US
terms of
जिसका
his
तो
IQ.
मतलब
Yeah, तो क्या किया जाए मतलब this is an it has worked well. I am grateful to God. Of course, we have our challenges. We have a long way to go, but so far it has been a positive journey. And I would like to share, why I started my
yes,
company, this
yes,
edtech
yes, yes.
platform. So by the time he came to 10th grade, he was in an ICSC school, but social bullying and social adjustment was always a challenge for him. And all along, I managed by just studying in the evenings, taking the notes and studying in the evenings, and using school as a social platform where he interacts with many students of his age. But 10th NIOS 10th was very huge. I couldn't continue that. So this was a Montessori school in Bangalore, which was teaching ICSE up to 8th grade, and then they were doing NIOS, 9th and 10th.
Which school, ma'am?
So I don't want to
Okay, yeah,
say the
sure, sure.
name,
Sure,
maybe
sure, sure.
there.
Yes.
So this was the last thing. I had started with CBSE school. Then I had opted for an international school in Hyderabad. Then I thought, okay, let's not. We have not tried Montessori alternative kind of school, so we started this in Bangalore. But then it became too much for me to handle academics and schooling and school issues.
Mm,
So I said, okay, we have not tried homeschooling. So let me try that. And I then started homeschooling. And I realized that, the NIOS syllabus is huge. So I had worked in CBSE school for 5 years. And ninth and 10th syllabus combined was NIOS secondary syllabus for my son for science, math, social science. And these are huge portions, right? How do I
yeah, yeah.
teach? How
Huge
do
portions.
I mean, revision is a problem because teaching our children is one thing, but then since they cannot read independently, since my son cannot, and learn on their own, even revision wise, he needed me to sit next to him and read to him. So I
Mm,
used to prepare the notes for the subjects and record my voice over them. So I used to prepare PPTs and I
mhm,
would record my voice or his voice over that PPT and give him for revision.
mm,
Because then only I would have time to prepare notes for other subjects, right? For him to learn. So I realized that this audio and visual helped him. It kind of imitated me reading to my son. It freed
yeah.
me up and it helped him a lot. And I did a research project around that because I was doing my masters at that time. I also conducted a pilot with my CBSE students using a similar tool, created PowerPoint notes for physics and chemistry, ninth grade for them. Kids recorded their voices over the PPT and used it for exam revision. And it was like a proper pilot trial where we tracked the performance without using this tool and after using this tool, and they
Mhm,
scored better in exams. So kind of I have interviewed the teachers and the parents and the students. So then, of course, the research also supported that you have this audio-visual help where different group of disabilities get help by it. So, for example, kids with auditory perception, some of them have very strong auditory
yeah.
uh, potential. So they
Mm.
use this kind of tools as audio only. Whereas some of them have, poor auditory
So visual.
uh, and stronger visual. So then they are also benefited. I mean, that is something I've learned recently from Victoria Memorial Schools professionals. I got a lot of research support, and then I said, okay, first thing we need proper guidebooks for our NIOS, where we have solutions for previous papers imbibed in every chapter, and reliable, accurate guidebooks are needed, and these guidebooks have to be in this text to speech
Hmm.
format, so that kids can just read and listen to the question and answers for the exam revision, and free the parents up. So this was the basic experience and a bit of research that I did on the platform. Then I realized that if you want a child to be on an online platform for a longer period of time, it has to be a design according to World Wide Web accessibility guidelines, which is what we have
Okay.
done for my platform. And the platform is in line with the universal design of learning principles. So one platform can be used by many different kinds of students with difficulties like visual impairment, hearing impairment, dyslexia, autism, slow learners. So all the features are added, and the
Mm-hmm.
child can use these features based on his or her needs. So proper scaffolded support can be created for reading the support material.
So now your son is, I think, adult, right? So, and he has
Yes.
learned a lot of things. I remember the incidents you were sharing and the happiness because of his independent tour, right, to Rajasthan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do share with us because वो बहुत बड़ा इंस्पिरेशन है. हम लोग पूरी जिंदगी यही स्ट्रगल करते हैं कि हमारे बच्चे इंडिपेंडेंट कैसे होंगे.
No, so for that, I must thank the college that he goes to. He's been doing his bachelor's in mass media. I must say that mass media is a beautiful subject for all our students because it has a very big practical component to it. Kids these days are tech savvy, so
Hmm.
tools
True.
like video editing and photography, these kind of subjects, they can really enjoy and they can contribute. They can also These subjects can also provide a creative ground for our children. So he is like anyway doing this mass media bachelor's from one of the colleges of Mumbai University, which is very very supportive, and they have created a systematic support for my son. My husband and I are very grateful for this. So they had, they had this trip that they planned, industrial visit as they called it. And before planning the trip, the professor, head of the department, I contacted and I said, "See, my son is very excited. What to do?" And she said, "Let's meet. Let's kind of understand what are the, soft points which can go wrong. What would you be worried about?" And I kind of created a list and emailed it to her, and they all beautifully worked around us, around my son, and he's so happy, and so are we. They had assigned buddies who looked after him, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and they managed well. It was a train journey, 5 day trip, uh,
Wow.
and it looks like he was not a burden to anybody either, because
Everybody
otherwise they would
was,
have complained.
yeah, they
Yeah,
would have
it was.
at least
He,
कुछ तो बोला ही
yeah,
होता कि ऐसा रहा
yeah,
experience.
yeah.
I
So
know, I know.
I
So
think
you,
the take-home lesson is you have to let go. I mean, it was hard
how
for us.
how was your community support? Because ये बहुत बड़ी बात होती है कि लोग तो of course hide करते हैं जो special parents होते हैं. And at the same time, कुछ लोग they are not received well. The people around them, they are always in denial कि नहीं नहीं ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, it's everything is fine, you are overthinking, ऐसी भी चीजें होती हैं.
It starts with that only. No matter how well educated family you come from, uh, the kind of Indian system we have, it started with that. Mother didn't do a right job.
Ah,
It starts with
yeah.
that. I I also couldn't escape that, I think.
So I would really want कि हमारे पास हमारे जो हो सकते हैं listeners, वो कुछ ऐसे young लोग भी हो सकते हैं, young parents जो शायद उन्होंने उन्होंने अभी diagnosis देखा है या उन लोगों को doubt हो रहा है कि ऐसा है क्या? क्योंकि अब थोड़ा ऑटिज्म या कोई ऐसा भी कोई भी तरह की जो इस तरह की जो चीजें हैं डिसऑर्डर, वो लोगों को कुछ कुछ पता होती हैं। तो व्हाट विल बी योर सजेशन फॉर दैट?
My thing is, don't, I mean, mothers tend to immediately blame themselves. I think I wish I was told not to blame myself. I wish I was held with other friends at that time, that no, it's not you. There is something real, like learning disabilities, right? But what has helped my son is diet, discipline, structure, um, and those things only I could do. I mean,
Mm,
I decided to stay at home with my son. I left my career. So, whatever other people said, whatever blames I had, if I had to, sit and cry about that, I mean, then it would have not given me the energy. What I felt was that I decided this is my challenge, this is my journey, and this is for my son. And everything became a background noise for me. I wanted a therapy, I did a therapy. I wanted, and when I was not having an opportunity for therapy or support, as I said, I just said, forget about it, I'm going to homeschool. So one parent has to fight, you know, you have to be brave. You are having a child with special needs, which is far beyond yourself. The needs, the discipline that is required. So yes, you are a human being. Yes, you have an emotional baggage of your own. I mean, we are all born, brought up. We have our career issues. We have our relationship. But when it comes to attending to the needs of the child, we all have to come up with some equilibrium where we do the best for our child, because early intervention is essential. You know, whatever you're going to do for the early years, it's going to push you forward 10 times more. And
mm-hmm.
by fighting with your society or your relationships, you don't want to miss out on that. You want to make sure that your child gets that. You are privileged to have a diagnosis. You know that that there is a problem. So instead of going into self dwelling, it's better to just shut that side up. Of course, you will have the different problems about that also, but I think those are more manageable problems rather than losing child's early intervention window.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But how you took care of your own mental health? Because
So it has been a
parents,
rough journey. It is a rough journey. I am a religious person, Abhilasha. So for me, that has been my biggest support. I do my meditation, my japa, my chanting, my bhajans. And my mom has been my biggest support, not physically but emotionally, because she was the person who always said that I know, I see that there is a difficulty, you will find a solution. And that was also a big deal for me, that somebody agreed with me that yes, there was
I
a
know.
challenge. So I guess, I mean, again, I feel like we do get support, don't you think, Abhilasha? I mean, when we decide that no, we have to work somewhere, some help
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
through.
yeah, yeah.
And I am grateful to those millions of small helps. Even in US, I had speech therapist coming and explaining to me, because US, it was all a question mark for me. What is it? What is autism? What is learning disability? This, that. Somebody would come and give you a piece of advice. Somebody would come and help you. He had a anxiety about haircut. I remember it used to be a traumatizing experience, a haircut, and people, a hairdresser would say, "Oh, I'll do it. Don't worry." And so
So you
millions of
always
help.
found angels in the form of
Yes,
humans. Can we say that?
exactly. And my husband and I always wonder that yes, I mean, he has struggles, but he has support also. Imagine a college which was not even in our short list, but it just, he's an international student. So the Mumbai University International student department just said, oh, this is your option. We have only this college, this seat for you, nothing else. And this turns out to be the most supportive place and the right, uh, uh, subject for him. Again, my husband is a scientist. I'm an engineer. We have no idea about media as a subject, but this all everything comes into place. So I think we are guarded by angels as well. These kids are. There's
Yeah,
something
of
really
course.
special about them.
They are not just special needs, they are special people,
They
not
are
just
special.
special. And so young mothers, what you would suggest कि क्या करना चाहिए उनको कि उनको मतलब थोड़ा, क्योंकि इनिशियल पीरियड आई वुड से कि बहुत हार्ड होता है, बहुत ज्यादा हार्ड होता है कि
Start होता है.
जहाँ जहाँ तक आप एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे हैं इस चीज को, तब तक ये बहुत हार्ड होता है.
And see, acceptance is something that is very very individualized. You find support. You talk to people. Don't just take it on your own. Find like-minded people, your personal relatives. Like for me, it was my mom, or your friends, or other parents, other moms in the same situation. But the trick to succeed is to be aware. Don't just go to a therapy that somebody else tells you to go to. Understand
Hmm.
it. Find out why.
Correct.
Why are you doing sensory integration therapy? What are you supposed to expect out of it? How does it really work on your child's nervous system? So a lot of reading, a lot of talking, asking questions, understanding, because I think Abhilasha, you'd also agree that learning challenges, the difficulties are very subtle. They have a lot of comorbidities.
Hmm.
So
Correct.
for my son, I've seen that there are some dietary issues because he was bombarded with antibiotic at a very young age. There was some food allergies. There
Hmm.
was some attention difficulties, executive function problems. So it's not just one thing. Of course, you will get a label of specific learning disabilities, but there are a lot of things that are playing a havoc, right? And correct, try to understand it all, be aware. I think the first thing is to be aware about this, that I know my son eats gluten based things and his attention decreases. Not that at every point I can prevent him from eating those things, it's a small child, but that awareness, that understanding, and
Hmm.
slowly that understanding will solidify around his or her environment. And hopefully the child himself, like, so my son now says, hi, please don't give me too much sugar. And him being a foodie and saying that matters a lot.
Correct. That
And
he
that I
has
think is a
understood,
better,
realized. Yeah.
yeah, better kind of one, right? Because now I don't
Of
have to look
course.
after that.
He knows
That
कि
you understand.
शुगर नहीं खाना है. Correct.
Yeah,
बिल्कुल यही तो
so
चाहिए
things like
ultimately.
that.
Hmm.
So there are two aspects: acceptance as a parent, support that a child needs, and understanding of the child about his or her own difficulties. Abhilasha, I mean, I think you also come to that point. I was not sure when my son was doing homeschooling and he was going out, everybody, why are you studying from home? I was not sure whether to tell my son that he has difficulties or not. What is the right time for us to tell our children about their challenges and tell them, like, make them aware and confidently talk about it? I
Hmm.
think I was
Hmm.
delayed. I should have done it being in the middle school itself. That, but my worry was that, the perception that people have about the child, that creates more of a disability than disability itself. That,
Yeah.
oh, you have this
Hmm.
struggle, you have this struggle. So I wanted to
Hmm.
prevent that.
Constant reminder
uh,
उसके बारे में.
yeah,
Correct.
so yeah, so, and because people then only use that lens to see him, judge him,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then the child also then accepts it permanently rather than trying. So this is a very, I think it's a debatable issue. When is the right time to for your child to know that they have struggles and to be able to advocate their own needs in a right way without, being judged, to be being biased.
थैंक यू सो मच। आपका आपके इनसाइट्स, आई एम वेरी श्योर कि मतलब जितने भी पेरेंट्स सुन रहे हैं सुनेंगे इसको, और आपके जो टूल्स हैं, आई थिंक इट विल बी वेरी यूजफुल। ऑफ कोर्स आई हैव आल्सो यूज्ड इट, and since my daughter is in NIOS, she is like pursuing year 10, grade 10. So I am going to use it more and more, and I highly recommend it. And thank you so much for joining, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhilasha, and all you moms. Anytime, please share my email address with
Yes,
on the
I will.
platform as well. Would be very
Yes.
happy. We are together in this
Yes,
journey.
we are all
Please,
together. Yes, and
yes.
that's why we are, interacting. कि किसी को भी अकेला महसूस नहीं करना चाहिए. Nobody is alone. We all are here. We all are here for each other. I would like to say that. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining in. Thank you.
Abhilasha, wonderful initiative. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So I have stopped recording.